So it's 8:30 in the morning and this is my first ever vlog. I was planning on doing it as soon as I got out of bed, but yeah, respect all the vloggers out there. I don't know how you do it, because I came to the realization to make a good vlog, you have to get out of bed first, put your camera down, and then get out of bed again to catch it. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, I'm a doctor based in the UK. Follow me around today. I'm doing a private clinic today. I predominantly do private work now. The hospital I work at is about 45 minutes away from where I live. It's in a place called Peterborough, and there is a reason for that, which I'll discuss a bit later on. I live in a place called Milton Keynes. But yeah, there's a specific reason why I chose to work there rather than the hospital, which is only about 10 minutes away from me. And today will be a mix of seeing patients in the morning and then a podcast in the afternoon. I hope you find this interesting. But yeah, come follow me along. So I've just arrived at the hospital. There's so much traffic, but I've rushed inside. I'll talk you through what I'm doing, because I think the patient's going to be in the next 5 minutes or so. So yeah, I'm going to rush in and catch up with me later, and I'll talk you through everything. So yeah, the great thing about working in a private hospital is just the facilities. I get more time with patients and I get to see specialists right there and then discuss patients because they're right next door to me. So my next door neighbour today was Mohammed, who's the clinical photographer. Any kind of funny skin looking lesions he'll take photos of. He was talking me through all his cameras and lights and how they work, which is, I'm super interested. Right, so the next patient is going to have a microsuction, so I've just got to set them up using, you have a special kind of microscope, and then you basically suction out using a sucker all of the gunk in their ear. But yeah, but I just want to talk about gabapentin. I've seen lots of patients on gabapentin, and it's not the best medication. Now, before I go into that, there is things that it's useful for, and obviously seizures and things, that's a completely different ballgame. I'm talking specifically for pain. Now, the only things I've really seen it help with, and what the studies show it's being helpful with, are with post-shingles pain and diabetic neuropathy. But other than that, it's not that great. So, I mean, there's lots of people on it for things like fibromyalgia, even chronic fatigue or chronic pain. But the thing is, it doesn't ever work that great. And the problem is, once people are started on it, they kind of, are stuck on it. And when they come and see the doctor and say it's not working, what tends to happen is the dosage just increased to the point where it goes so high that it might be helping the pain, but the patient's like half asleep throughout the day, they can't get up. So although the pain's better, you've kind of made them worse by not being able to be functioning. So yeah, I think if you're on gabapentin and it's not helping, I'd be more inclined for my patients to try and come off it slowly rather than increasing the dose and try something else. But obviously speak to your own doctor. But yeah, I think pain meds, especially gabapentin, is something we overprescribe. And the crazy thing is, people aren't aware of that the pharmaceutical company, was actually sued a while ago because they said it had a bunch of indications when it didn't. A lot of people, even doctors, aren't aware of this, and the doctors that are kind of just have forgotten about it. So yeah, just be mindful of that. So I've just finished off with the morning clinic. It was a mixture of face-to-face appointments and remote appointments. And being private now, it just makes you realise how hard it is to work in the public sector, because, for example, I've seen way less patients and I've spent maybe 30 to 45 minutes on each patient, and I've got literally pages of notes for each patient, and then I get to go back, do some research, and then give a really accurate, good management plan. And not only is it better for the patient, it's much more rewarding, for me as well. And this is to all doctors out there. I think when you're in the NHS and going down that route, you kind of tunnel vision, because you have medical school, then you have kind of, the training pathway, then you become a GP or a consultant, and then you're almost like on another treadmill where you're trying to progress your career, and it's never ending. And your mind is almost closed. And I think the patient care is not that great, to be honest, because in GP land, in the NHS, you've got 10 minutes, you've probably never seen the patient before, and you probably never see them again. There's not much reward. You kind of go home and you're thinking, okay, what have I really achieved? And you're stressed. And then one day I sat back and thinking, this is not, it's not really for me. Especially having two young kids, it's kind of like, what am I showing them? And one of them's 3 now, and he's very, very clever, so he's kind of picking up on everything. And you want them to live a life where they kind of pursue their dreams and, have a fulfilling career. But if you're kind of stressed and you're not doing that yourself, it's not really much of an example. So that was really my mind. And a lot of this was down to social media, which I started about a year ago. and it done quite well in the short form, and that just opened my mind to a completely different world. And lots more offers for private work and sponsorships and things like that. But I think even with the private work that I'm doing, I think it's still financially out of reach for a lot of people, and that does bug me a bit. So I'm trying to come up with a few ways where you can help more people. Because let's be honest, I mean, in the NHS, if you're a doctor, it's a crazy world, right? So you can't see a GP, but a lot of GPs at the moment are sat at home without work. And it's kind of I think the government have done this on purpose. I mean, a lot of the time in GP practice now, you've got advanced nurse practitioners or paramedics or nurses doing the jobs that GPs would do. And the reason is, it's not necessarily GP practice's fault, it's because they're getting funded to hire these specific roles. So if you're a GP practice, why wouldn't you? You're essentially getting free labour. So that means GPs are sat at home doing anything, and they've only got really two options, which is, go abroad or start working privately. And is that what kind of the government want? If they want to have a separate private sector, I think I know the answer to that. So if you're a patient, it is frustrating being in the NHS, but I think private health in this UK at the moment is not that great either, to be honest. But I think there is definitely a need for good quality private care, which is not present at the moment. I think that will change. And if you're a GP who's at home, not finding work, I think just know that your skills you've got are massively needed elsewhere. And if you just sit and think, like, what else can I do? What else can I use my skills for? And just start, honestly, your mind will be so much more open, and you may well come across something which you thought you couldn't achieve. So look, I know a lot of people frown at private work, but I think it's the way the world's going. And I think if there's a way we can somehow increase care and lowering the cost, I think that's the key, and that's what I'm honestly trying to do. I understand the way I'm looking at the moment, patients pay a fee to have a consultation is out of reach for many because it is expensive. And also, if you want to have a follow-up with a patient, it builds up a lot. And this channel is about obviously talking about my journey in trying to solve that. And I've got a few ideas, but also just giving some medical tips along the way. But yeah, the morning clinic's done. I was going to have lunch, but I left my lunch at home, so I've not got anything to eat. But I don't have lunch most days anyway. I'll have like a light breakfast, about 10ish, which is normally like a shake or something. And then I normally don't eat again until dinner. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in a bit. So the morning's all done. Now I actually do a podcast, so I'm just walking across the way. So the studio is actually on the hospital site, which is quite nice. So I've got a consultant rheumatologist who's a top specialist in fibromyalgia. So he's actually coming in about 20 minutes. So I've got to rush in and get it all ready. So I'll show you when I'm in there. So podcast's all done. Starting to feel a bit tired now, to be honest. It was sorry I couldn't catch up before. I was running super late. I had to get it all set up. But it was super interesting. I thought I knew a lot about fibromyalgia, in particular around the treatments. But yeah, this rheumatologist was super knowledgeable, and the podcast will be out hopefully in a couple of weeks. What takes me long is editing it. But yeah, I'll show you the studio around here. So it took me a long while to get all this set up, especially I had no idea initially. So you have to get the lights and obviously all the cameras and these mics and things. But obviously it needs a lot of work still. The studio itself is still not ideal. But I think the key thing is the conversation I'm having. I'm learning so much. To try and put a podcast out every week, try and keep on top of it. And I try and get consultants and doctors or specialists on in areas that I think are underserved, so around chronic pain, chronic conditions, that kind of stuff, as well as maybe health tech startups I think are really going to do big things, and that'll be coming soon. And also that actually the owner of this hospital, so I alluded to it a bit earlier, but the reason why I chose to work at this hospital is because it's actually not like a big massive chain run by like a Spire or a Boop or a Circle Health. It's actually run by just a family who one day bought a big block of offices and turned it into hospitals. It's quite amazing. So I'm trying to get the founder of this on the podcast to discuss how he's done it, which is quite amazing. But also the good thing is if I need to see a patient, the plan is that I can see a patient, and if they need a scan, I can then get a scan done then there and then, get the report, and then come back to me all within about an hour, which I think is amazing, and obviously is very helpful for the patient as well, which is something that none of the other hospitals can offer. So I think this hospital is going to go places. It's been open very recently, but I think when the Health Village fully launches, which is where they can do a kind of a one-stop shop for everything, when that launches, I think this hospital will be absolutely amazing, and it's great to work here. But anyway, I'm gonna head off home now. It's quite late. So I've probably got an hour and a half journey home. And then probably spend some time with the kids, try and go to the gym, have some dinner, and yeah, I'll catch up when I'm home. So I'm back home now. I was trying to go into the gym, but what happened was someone reached out from Canada and wanted to record the podcast, so I jumped on with them. Just finished that now. Again, it was a lady who is a doctor and specialises in chronic pain management. Has got a really cool treatment for fibromyalgia. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about fibromyalgia. I'm actually in the process of setting up an online community that I think will help so many people. So follow me along for that. Really insightful conversation with this lady. I think it'll be a full podcast episode actually, and I'll upload it probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, I think that's a wrap for today. I'm just going to relax, watch some TV, and then go to bed. So thank you so much for watching.